Good morning, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order.
Hey guys, I'm pausing.
To serve on, is that? Okay, very good. Very good.
Put them on as much as you can.
Thank you very much.
The next item on our agenda has to do with our small business development program. At each of our meetings, you get a chance to review and act on proposed loans to small businesses. But you don't get an opportunity to see the other side, the other half, if you will, of the program, because it doesn't involve any transactions that require approval by the board of directors. And that is our technical assistance to borrowers and other small businesses that come to us looking for help. And I've asked our team if they would put together a brief presentation on the technical assistance program. And Martha Lane, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jim. Yes, I'm very happy to talk a little bit about our technical assistance program. As Jim mentioned, we talk about loans in this room, but we have not focused in any great detail on technical assistance, which is an integral part of the SBA microloan program. It also takes up a significant amount of staff time, and we devote a significant amount of money to the program. So I want to make sure everybody on the board has a chance to understand the program and ask questions if they have any. So first of all, it's important to know that we are required to provide technical assistance to our borrowers, whether or not the SBA provides any funding to offset the cost of providing that technical assistance. Sometimes people ask, what is technical assistance? And the SBA does not provide a very clear definition. It's basically any help, advice, counsel, or support that we can offer to small business owners to help them be more successful in operating their business. Who provides technical assistance? The bulk of it is provided in-house by our staff. And in fact, that's a requirement of the SBA, that 50% or more be required by staff. So we work one-on-one with small business owners, answering their questions, asking them questions, and if they need more detailed support, we can provide an outside consultant to help them. And I gave everyone a list under your packet. I have a list of the current technical assistance providers that we work with. I have to provide that list to the SBA every year. It does change from time to time. We have people that drop off because they've gotten busy or they've taken a full-time job. And then we find new providers that want to work with our small business clients. Number 10 on the list is Brian Zweig. I've been working with Brian for over 2 decades, and he has a very good understanding of the program and what it is we do. Number 2 is Carolina Harold's-daughter. She's been working with us for less than a year. She came to us from Charlene Chai, who was a technical assistance provider for many years, but Charlene is now very busy operating her own business and doesn't really have time to take on any new technical assistance clients. But Carolina has been a godsend, and we're getting very good feedback from the clients she has worked with. Every one of these consultants has a written agreement with CEDC. Andy Howard reviewed that agreement when I came on board, but that was 24 years ago. We updated the agreement when Mike Tucker came on board, and Andy reviewed it again. Anytime we make changes to that agreement, we make sure that Andy approves it. Basically, it's a very simple, it's not a contract per se, but they basically agree to work with our clients. They do not hold themselves out there as employees of CEDC. They agreed to invoice us on a timely basis and provide a detailed description of what kind of service they provided to our clients. We pay them on an hourly basis, anywhere from $75 to $150 an hour. How does the SBA define the technical assistance program? Well, the SBA has a standard operating procedure that's somewhere between 75 and 100 pages, and they devote 2 paragraphs to technical assistance. So they leave it up to us. They basically state that we have to have a technical assistance program in place, and the only restriction is that it cannot be web-based. We can't just have a link on our website saying, you know, take this course that's offered by SCORE and that will suffice. We have to be meeting with them one-on-one and develop a relationship with each of our borrowers. Who receives technical assistance? If we have the money, pretty much anybody who requests it. We haven't turned anybody down in quite some time. But if we do get to the end of our budget and we have to wait until July 1st is when the new budget year starts for technical assistance. When the well runs dry, we have to refer them to the Small Business Development Center, either up at SUNY Albany or down at SUNY Ulster. And those small business development centers have people on staff that will help develop a business plan. How do business owners find us? Well, that's generally referrals. We get referrals from commercial lenders. We get referrals from bank managers. We get referrals from accountants and other professionals in the community. And a lot of referrals come from people that have already benefited from technical assistance or loans through CEDC. And I'm going to leave time for questions at the end, but I'll just keep going. I want to talk a little bit about the technical assistance grant that we received from the SBA. I put another sheet in front of you that shows a 10-year snapshot of the grant that we have received from the SBA. We have to match that grant with 25% of our own funds. And you can see that generally we've been receiving larger grants as the years go by. The amount that we receive is based on the amount of SBA funds that are out on the street. And the formula changes. During COVID, the amount was raised to 25% of the outstanding loan amount. I don't know where it is currently. I think our grant will probably be somewhat similar to what we received last year. It could be a little bit higher and a little bit lower. Last year, we found out we received our notice of award, or NOA, on February 23rd. But because we don't have a federal budget in place, they can't send out that notice of award. I don't know where we are on that budget approval. I think, in fact, we face a partial shutdown of the federal government on Friday, yeah?
There's some attempt to do a continuing resolution through the end of the fiscal year, so that just kind of kick the whole thing down the can, kick the can down the road.
So we like to know earlier in the year rather than later, but at the same time, if we don't have to apply for the grant until our audit is complete, that really helps us because we have limited staff. It's a non-competitive grant, so the SBA tells us how much we qualify for, and then we apply for that amount. It's a pretty hefty application process. So some restrictions on how we use those grant funds. No more than 50% can be used on outside consultants. That used to be 25%. That's a law, and that was changed several years ago, but that was tricky when 75% had to be spent, with in-house staff. The balance can be used for staff time, including benefits, and we can also apply our travel budget to that SBA grant, supplies, including computers and software. We can spend SBA grant money on that. And we can also allocate a portion of our overhead to the grant. So our rent, utilities, a portion of our audit, our Zoom account, our printer expenses, what have you. We allocate a prorated amount toward the SBA grant. And all of the staff actually participates in that program. Kat and Lisa each devote 25% of their time to the SBA program. And so a portion of their salaries are covered by that grant as well. So we can't help everybody, and it's important that we make that clear up front. But there are a large number of business owners that we can help. I think that the technical assistance program is a very important part of what we do here at CEDC, and a lot of people aren't aware of it. But really the goal is to raise the level of knowledge of all of the small business owners in Columbia County, to level the playing field, and to make sure everybody can operate a successful business who wants to. Yeah, so raising awareness of what we do is an important part of our job as well. And Riley, who couldn't be with us today, she's very helpful in getting the word out via social media. Quite a few people don't know about the technical assistance program and its benefits. In fact, a lot of people don't even know what the SBA is, or if they do know what the SBA is, they don't know what it does. So yeah, that's part of our job as well. Before I take questions, I just want to leave you with a couple of points, important points about the program. 50% of technical assistance needs to be provided in-house by staff. 50% has to be post-loan technical assistance. The majority of people who come to us are looking for business plans or other assistance to apply for a loan. Once they get that loan, they tend to sort of drift away, and we really have to reel them back in so that we continue to provide technical assistance. Another important point is that we're required to provide it, whether or not the SBA provides funding. And finally, I just want to mention that we do love referrals. And so if any of you know business owners that might be able to benefit from our services, I hope we'll ask them to reach out or give us their names, and we'll be happy to call them.
Who has questions about the technical assistance program?
I have one. Since COVID, looks like we're getting about 25 new clients each year. Is that because of the effort of getting the word out more, or how does that even work? Like, let's say one client uses different people on there. Does that count as each of an individual use of technical assistance?
It does. And actually that number isn't entirely accurate because it doesn't include the number of people that go through the micro business seminar series. If we have 12 people in that room and they get 20 hours of technical assistance, that counts, toward the amount of money that we're providing. But I think what happened, Mike, is that people were moving up here and starting businesses during COVID. That has not slowed down in the 24 years I've been here. People want to start something, people want to have a certain amount of control over their own destiny, and people want to start a business.
Is that new clients each year, or like if somebody's in the program, will they be there, getting assistance for a couple of years?
Yeah, they might. We have some clients that have been working with our providers since the day they opened, and some of them have been with us for many, many years. Yeah, so it's a variety.
So it's growing because of also just some of the holdover.
Sure. So we have a couple of clients that are receiving ongoing technical assistance. In fact, the loan committee made it a condition of their loan to meet with their TA provider either quarterly or monthly for the first year. And then sometimes that TA provider will call us and say, look, they really need some help with event planning. Who do you have? And then we bring in someone else who might be able to help them in that arena.
You don't need to be a loan client in order to qualify for technical assistance, is that correct?
That is correct. We call those pre-loan clients. So whether or not they apply for a loan, they are categorized as pre-loan, and the SBA recognizes them as that.
And nonprofits are also included?
Yes and no. The only nonprofits that qualify for a loan, an SBA loan, are daycare centers. And so we can provide technical assistance to them. Other nonprofits, we know that they won't qualify for a loan. So technically we can't pay for that using our TA grant, but we do have other funds. We've helped numerous other nonprofits.
I'm looking at the list, and the majority of them are about marketing and some kind of brand identity. I see one lawyer on there. Is there any way to kind of balance it out, maybe get legal? I feel like legal help is like a big hurdle for people starting off, that or accounting. So having a consultation with an accountant would be very helpful, because I feel like that's,
good point. So we haven't overwhelmed our existing law firm yet. She hasn't turned anyone down. She has staff, and she also has access to the students at Albany Law School. So I'm not sure we have a need at this time for a new attorney. An accountant, we've never really satisfactorily set up an arrangement with an accountant. That's an ongoing relationship. We would find ourselves paying for a 1-hour consultation, and then they either engaged that accountant or they didn't. And I think the accountants found that not to be such a beneficial relationship with us. So now we simply suggest that they talk to other business owners if they're looking for an accountant. In general, they will have to pay for a consultation. That's been my experience.
One of the other difficulties is that because, we try to take 25% of the SBA grant to use for technical assistance. So that, the rest of the funds are either the work we're doing in-house or staff. And at a price range of $75 to $150 an hour, the only way you get an accountant or lawyer to consider doing it is as half pro bono. And, right now, people are so busy that what we're finding is the only lawyers who are interested are the younger lawyers who are trying to build a book of business. And on the flip side, we try to limit technical assistance to any one client to 10 hours initially?
Yes.
So that we can spread the $75,000 that we're using for third-party outsourced consultants amongst the volume of people who we're serving. So it's, we do have a lot of people who we have a consultant who sets their QuickBooks up for them and gets them started. But, giving advice as to being an LLC or a C Corp is hard for us to be the ones to provide that service.
Other questions? Great presentation. I learned a lot. Thanks very, very much. Let's continue with the loan committee report. And for that, we'll turn to the loan committee chair for each of the
First, we have a risk rating review.
I'll be brief. We already reviewed this with the loan committee. Basically, you can see that the risk ratings are 1 through, well, they're actually 1 through 5. We don't have anyone in the 5 category yet. That's when they're basically in default. And then we assign a rating. 1 is the highest. Those are for our best established payers. Or maybe they have very small loans, or maybe we have really good collateral on those loans. And then 2 and 3, most businesses fall into one of those categories. Number 4, those are the businesses that are late payers, that maybe have other issues that we're aware of, and where we really don't have sufficient collateral to secure the loan. We do this quarterly, and we review it with the loan committee once a quarter.
We need your approval on this.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the risk rating review.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
That was so,
What's that?
I feel like that was delayed.
It was motion carried.
Okay, it's okay. No.
First vote isn't a no, or you?
I said yes, but didn't you know?
Yeah. Buckle up.
Okay, we have the portfolio dashboard for review, Martha.
And this is the last time you'll hear from me because Steve will be presenting the loans this month. Loan client A is in arrears. We're very concerned about loan client A, as we have been since we made the loan 3 years ago. They're not responsive. They don't respond to emails or phone calls. But they've always come through, and we're hopeful they will again. Loan client B just made a payment, so they're in good shape. Loan client C is in arrears, but only by a month, and we're in contact with them, and we've set up a meeting with them. So hopefully we'll be able to get that resolved. Are there any questions?
If there's no questions, we'll need a approval for this as well.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Anyone opposed? So carried. So now we'll move on, Steve, to our first loan, Supreme Soft Serve.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Supreme Soft Serve LLC, based in Clobrick. They are a mobile ice cream truck. Their request to us was a $25,000 SBA microloan. That loan does also include the $2,500 Columbia Forward grant. That grant also includes a 3.75% interest rate. Term of the loan, 60 months, monthly payment of $457.60. Purpose of the loan is an equipment purchase and working capital. And of course, we'll have a lien on business assets and personal guarantee of the principal. This is Supreme Soft Serve out of Clobrick.
Anyone have any questions on this loan? So We'll need a motion to approve.
I move that we approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Anyone opposed? So carried. So we'll move on to the second.
And thank you. And again, so Verdigris Tea here in Hudson, a food service retail establishment. They request of us a $25,000 SBA microloan. In this loan also a Columbia Forward grant, $2,500, and of course, 3.75% interest rate. Term on this loan, 60 months, monthly payment of $457.60. Purpose of this loan is working capital, and our collateral being a lien on business assets and the personal guarantee of the principal. That is Verdigris Tea here in Hudson. Thank you.
Any questions on this one? I'll need a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor? Anyone opposed? So carried.
These are both women
Thank you.
run own businesses?
Excuse me?
Are these both women owned businesses?
Yes, they are.
And I'll remind our newer members of the board that there are other loans that the loan committee has reviewed and approved. Only those $25,000 or greater require board approval. Okay, now on to Mike Tucker and our treasurer's report.
Thank you. I always say 1 month doesn't make a year, but the way January came out, I'd like it to. The balance sheet shows an increase in total assets of $629,000. That is principally comprised of $390,000 in new SBA loans and SBA and new SBA loans are 337 and CEDC, I'm sorry, CEDC loans are 337 and SBA loans are 289, which brings us to $627,000 of increased assets as the result of putting more money on the street. In addition to that, you can see that we have a $232,000 loan receivable from Kleinkill Farms. And when we serve as the intermediary for the county on Office of Community Renewal Grants, the state provides the money to the county provides it to us, and then we provide it to the developer, in this case, Kleinkill Farm, to build migrant housing. We book it as an asset, and then you'll see it down below as a liability, because while it's currently considered a loan, after a particular point in time, it becomes a grant. And what was happening was we were only making the entry as an asset when we received the money, and then when the time frame expired so that it became a grant, we had to write it off, and so we were creating a fake liability, which was making our expenses look out of sync. So what we do now is the accountants have us enter it as an asset and a liability. On the matching side of the liability, you'll see that there's $390,000 of additional obligation to the SBA, which was the money they advanced us that then we were able to lend out to increase our loan portfolio, and $236,000 from last year. We had to make the calculation for the first time for the sorry, that's in deferred revenue, and again, the deferred revenue includes the 232 for Kleinkill. We did have to make an adjustment for lease liability, but that we did have in January of last year because it had to be done as of December 31st, 2022. So on the liability side, it's Kleinkill, 236,000 and additional debt from the SBA. So, we keep building the balance sheet. We're now up to 5.1 million in assets and liabilities, and our equities in the loan program. Any questions on the balance sheet? The next report shows profit and loss by class. This has been always a difficult issue of trying to make sure that our operating income and expense is positive. Generally, it's negative, but the total, when you aggregate the interest from the loan program, made us whole or above the line. You know, as you can see, interest on the loan program, you know, is a significant part of getting to that $27,000. But we were able to make $18,000 from the operating income and expenses. Generally, we have subsidized operating income and expenses with interest from the loan fund. And at the same time, by never taking any of the interest from the loan fund and putting it in the operating account, we've depleted cash over time. But we felt it was better to build the loan fund, which is now, Martha, what, 3 million?
Yes.
Up to $3 million. Putting the earned interest from the loan fund over the last 9 years into the loan fund itself and still manage our cash flow. When you look at the P&L, combines all of those classes, you see that we're up $8,000 in revenue, and we're down $17,000 in expenses, so that our net income for the month is plus 27,000, where we had projected only 1,600. A variance, positive variance of 25,000. Looking at income, our administrative revenue is down because we've taken our estimate in the budget, divided it by 12, rather than track the time when we would receive the funds. That administrative revenue line includes the $10,000 per project that we anticipate closing with the IDA, both the county IDA and the city of Hudson IDA. Our contract with those entities provides for a base fee of $12,500 a year for administrative services, but 10% of any project that we, of any IDA fee that the Hudson or Columbia County IDA receives in return for our work on those projects. The membership and sponsorship is up because we booked it all, and in the past, the accountants required us to divide it by 12 and move it over every month. And I finally convinced them that we're at a dollar amount that right now that's not material. And so we book the revenue as it comes in. So that will, that budget line will erode over time as the budgeted amount for each month corresponds to what we collected. We are about where we have been in previous Januaries. February was a pretty good month. I think we're up, Riley has the numbers isn't here today, but I think it's up to about $26,000. We have the annual meeting coming up where we usually bring in another $15,000 in sponsorships, which will get us to the $50,000 that we budgeted for sponsorship and memberships this year. The employee expense is down because we still have not filled the staff position that's open. Our micro business expense is down. That's where we pay for the technical assistance. Martha has put, what we find is we try to get everyone to bill us through December 31st so we can kind of clear the deck. And then they start working in January and they bill us at the end of January for the work they did in January. So you'll see a bigger number there to absorb the apparent savings in the micro business. Martha puts out scope, what do we call those, Martha?
Task orders.
Task orders to the technical assistant providers. And obviously they bill us as they complete the work. January is always a light month. Our new initiatives, we're down by half, but that again, primarily is broadband, housing, and new projects that come through during the course of the year. Sometimes we use those funds to help not-for-profits get technical assistance because, as Martha mentioned, the SBA doesn't allow us to use SBA funding for technical assistance or loans other than for daycare. Our professional fees are down because again, it's January and it was quiet, and we did try to get all of our professional service providers to bill us for year end so we could include it in the 2023 expenses. So again, I don't want to be this much over budget to the good every month, because it means that we're not providing the programs and services to the community that we have budgeted to enable us to do. Any questions?
Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second.
The only other issue which,
Hang on a second, Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
the only other treasurer-related issue is that the auditors have been in. They've been testing everything. Kat is providing a great deal of information to them, as have Steve and Martha with respect to testing the loan program. And that is on target so that we can vote on the draft audit at the March meeting in time for Lisa to file it with the state authority budget office under the Paris program. We also continue. We did have an issue, I think I reported, with respect to the third-party accounting service that we were using, because UHY cannot continue to provide that for us because of a federal. Now we're doing a single audit because of the amount of federal money we receive, which includes the pass-through from the county of ARPA money. As a result, the day-to-day questions or the technical closeout of the books is something we have to get a third party for. The group we were using decided that they didn't want to do this for businesses that weren't preparing the tax returns and audits for. And I understand that, but we have talked to RBT, and we'll have a presentation and a proposal to the finance committee where they would we would engage them on a monthly basis for that service. At what I thought was a reasonable rate, but we'll have the finance committee review it and bring it to you or another firm if that's the case. Any other questions? That concludes the treasurer's report. If you would like, Mr. Chairman, I'll move on to our activity.
Let's do
My
that.
report and the activity report.
Thank you.
With respect to the staffing update, we had a candidate that we were very interested in and actually made an offer to with respect to the economic development position. Unfortunately, after going through the whole interview process, part of his counter proposal was that we allow him to work 48 days a year remotely, which would be 2 days, 2 weeks a month. He'd be all year for 3 days. We don't allow that for other staff, and it would be disruptive to having the kind of backup and person we were looking for. We have had a couple of conversations, and it's become clear in this market and economy that you don't find people online. They're the people who haven't been hired. We're going to have to start going out, and I'd ask, we'll circulate to you electronically after this meeting an updated job description that clearly states it's not virtual in any way. But asking you to perhaps help identify people, because what I understand, you have to recruit, you can't advertise. And again, Jim and I have talked about a number of possibilities of how to do that. I think we're going to reach out to some of our clients, not our clients or our members, but our service providers and others, so that it does become a little more difficult, because if you ask and you get someone's cousin or friend and you don't hire them, it's a little more difficult than just sending out an ad and getting someone cold. But it's clear based on the money that we spend on advertising, both nationally online and at state organizations and in the local media and social media, that no one applied. either we're somehow not getting to the audience that we're looking for.
What about headhunters?
Well, there's a $7,000 or $8,000 fee at the level that we're looking to hire, and I think ultimately we may have to go that route. But and frankly, I found that sometimes they send you the people they haven't been able to hire, get hired somewhere else, and after 6 months they want to make it look good that they got someone a job. So it's always a balance, but we can talk about that. But we didn't budget for that at this point. We continue to be very, very busy. I would say Martha and Steve, since January 1, we've had at least 10 new major loan requests or project inquiries with respect to grant monies and development and potential IDA projects. Again, that's part of the reason why we're looking to fill this position. We also, you'll recall, received a $350,000 grant to provide grant funding to micro enterprise businesses. We have 5 or 6 that are interested in that program. It's a up to $25,000 grant for businesses that have 5 or less employees, including the owner, and where either the owner or the employees meet some requirements of low to moderate income. One of the requirements is that the applicant take a course similar to the one that we have in the past offered annually. And that's difficult because if you only offer the course once a year, you're going to have this backlog of people who are interested, and at a certain point they become ineligible for the grant. So we've been working with the state as well as with the Small Business Development Center at the University of Albany to determine whether some courses that the center runs on a regular cycle could satisfy the requirement of this grant. And they have said yes. So it will be an 8-week course that someone would have to take. I think it's 2 hours once a week. And it can be online. And if you didn't sign up in a timely basis, you can sign up at any time and pick up the recordings that were previously for the classes that you missed. And then they're working towards a system by the midsummer where this program for this particular grant initiative will be on-demand virtual. And so that will make it responsive to the time of business, not the time of when the course is run. And we were attempting to see whether we could partner with Greene County or Fulton County, who have also received these grants. But it's going to be great because the state is going to use the State University system of business development centers to be able to provide this to all of the economic development organizations that are participating in this grant program statewide. So the potential grantee can be considered 8 to 10 weeks after they apply, not wait for the course and hope that they're still eligible. We have, this will give us a little bit of an update on housing in a moment. But we are moving forward with the establishment of the land bank that was approved by the county, and we're in the process of seeking funding there. We're getting a number of requests for the Office of Community Renewal grants, where you can get up to $500,000 for equipment. The issue there is you have to create jobs, and your grant is $15,000 per job. So we have people coming in wanting, I'm going to create 4 jobs. Well, that's $60,000. It's not really worth the time and effort to do the application if it's not a larger project. But we are exploring with the state how we might be able to serve those businesses that are looking for money at that level. We have also been working with the Chamber on Columbia Forward. And we are working on scheduling a first quarter event joint event as we have, as we did in each of the quarters last year. And as you recall, our funding for Columbia Forward expires at the end of next year. And so we are filing the application that you authorized us to submit last month to the USDA for, I believe it's $125,000, where it's an equal match to be able to continue that program into 2025. We also have been continuing to participate in workforce and education initiatives with the college, with Questar, with the 6 school superintendents' offices, as well as with the Columbia and Greene County Chambers and the Greene County Economic Development Office, and the Workforce Investment Board and the New York Works Office. It's a great collaborative group. Chris Nardone, as you know, has become the executive director of the Workforce Board, and Amanda Karsh has taken on responsibilities, both her responsibilities at the college as well as taking on Chris's responsibilities at the New York Works Office. One of the things we're going to be talking about with respect to potential bylaw changes in a moment is eliminating a recommendation to eliminate the Workforce and Education Committee, but make it a task force so that it has more flexibility in terms of partnering and participating as a participant with others in the process, as opposed to us having a committee specifically focused on that. I think that by setting it up as the bylaws do provide that the chair can set up a special, very special committees for these purposes. And it eliminates having it in the bylaws, where if you were going to change it in the future, you would have to change it, but it'd be similar to how we handle broadband or how we're handling housing, where we have separate organized groups within the organization, but they're not, they're by appointment of the chair, not by the bylaws. And that will bring us down on our committees to just those committees that are basically corporate, required by either the not-for-profit law or the finance and audit committees that are required by the state overseers. On broadband, we do have a meeting scheduled this week with the New York Broadband Office. We've tried to have those at least every other month, if not quarterly, with Josh Breitbart, who is the director for the state. Our concern has been that because he thinks we're so far ahead of everyone else, that he thinks that we might not need any help. So we try to remind him where we are in terms of about 1,000 addresses that we're still uncertain about. Also how they interplay with the list that the FCC put out, which the state was supposed to update February 1st, but hasn't. And also assure them that we're focusing in on the digital equity and the affordable housing initiatives that are part of the governor's program, even though it's up to Congress to reallocate the $30 household stipend for people who need assistance with broadband, because that's money is basically gone. And on the affordable housing side, it's primarily geared towards helping get broadband to large apartment homes in urban areas, as opposed to 4 units across from Steiner's on Route 9.
Yeah.
So, but we want them to know that we still are participating in the webinars and conference calls on that. We think we've done phenomenally with broadband and the partnership we have with the 4 providers and the partnership we have with the state. But we don't want them to think that just because we're down to 1,000 out of 30,000 addresses, and about 200 of those will be eliminated when the USDA signs the grant to take care of Canaan and New Lebanon. That somehow, we're not a county that still needs 50 or 60% build out. One of the issues is the state's program is really designed to create overbuilding for competition, as opposed to filling the holes that we have for the people that are still unserved. And unfortunately, when you put the 1,000 addresses on a map with a circle, you see that it's like measles, it's scattered. It's not, other than Hillsdale, where there are 200 addresses. It's the end of the end of each of the 4 providers' lines. And one of the addresses that we actually ended up not submitting to the USDA in Canaan it was priced out, like consolidated at $39,000 to connect. And those last mile addresses where you're more than 300 feet off the road are going to be very expensive and difficult to get done. We have been working with Pattern for Progress. They're going to announce on Thursday a major study of childcare resources. It's going to show that Columbia County has had the largest drop in available childcare services of any county in their 9-county region. We have a Regional Economic Development Council kickoff meeting on Friday in Albany. We're already getting requests for assistance from businesses with their applications, because several of the programs now are rolling applications, not a fixed deadline. And we continue to work closely with the state on those. And finally, we did host with the 2 chambers in Greene County Economic Development meeting at the college yesterday with the Office of General Services Commissioner providing the governor's budget presentation. We've done that in the past, primarily to benefit the representative from the regional representative from the governor's office is asked to do these, and we make it as easy as possible for him in terms of strengthening our long-term relationship. I had an 8 o'clock doctor's appointment in Albany, and when I got there at 7:45, they said, "Oh, you're early for your 9 o'clock appointment." So I didn't get there, but Jim was there, and I believe Dr. Drummer was there as well. And Register Star asked me for a comment, and I said that we're very focused on the governor's broadband, affordable housing, and infrastructure initiatives, and urged the legislature to support it. So I hope that gets me through the political morass of Columbia County.
I have to say, and I don't know how Chairman Calvin feels about this, but Jeanette Moy was the presenter. And the budget is about close to 200 pages. And she went through it in 30 minutes. And I thought it would be so much more helpful if she would take certain parts of the budget and say, here's how it's going to affect Columbia County, which, she didn't do.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all this stuff writ large that, some of it applies to us.
Most of it was Manhattan.
Most of it's Manhattan, yeah, exactly. So I'm meeting with Harry. How do you say his last name?
Well, we're just Harry.
Harry H. Let's put it that way.
And his real name is Amai, and he created Harry as a pseudonym to make it easy for him to. He's a great young man.
Yes, he is. Anyway, he and I had a very interesting conversation after the meeting where he wants to learn more about what the college is doing, but he said more specifically he wants to make sure that the governor has a new focus on Columbia County instead of just looking at Manhattan. And
he has a new. There's each of the 10 regions has someone in Harry's position as a representative of the governor's office, and they have a new new boss. So they want them to get out more instead of just running events. But so that none of you think that I'm incapable of pronouncing names. HECHEHOUCHE.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, Harry. But,
Harry squared.
Harry, we've been working, when I first met Harry, it was when the governor came in 2017 to announce broadband. And Harry was the advanced man, the young fellow who decided what site and how to put the podium up. And he's done a really great job in this. Well, when he asks us to do something, we say yes. So that concludes my report. Are there any questions or things that We are going to talk about the annual meeting at the end. But we have, I guess we can do that.
Yes, go ahead.
We're 8 weeks out. We've got sponsorship letters in the mix. We have looked at several venues. Dr. Drummer in the college was gracious to block the date for us. But we've also looked at other venues. And right now, we've been spoiled by Kozel because the price we got, last year's price at Kozel was $2,600. This year's is $4,200. So we're going to try to understand whether we're buying a package and can we leave 2 bacon strips off every plate, or can we tell them how much we have to spend and see what they can give us for that. But we are going to follow up, and we're attempting to resolve that so that we can send a save the date card out next Monday. And then we'll follow up shortly after that with marketing a speaker, and we're still working on the speaker.
And our target date is for the event.
Oh, the event is, I always get this wrong, so I have to look it up. Lisa will have to, it is Tuesday, April 30th. So we're actually 2, 3, 4, 9 weeks from today. Oh, we got an extra week. Don't tell Riley. But it's a great event. We generally get 100 and 125 people, and we hope that it's all on your calendar because it's the regular April board date. Although we don't have a board meeting. We have the board meeting the week before. Tentative. We have a tentative date the week before. It's going to be hard to beat what Dr. Urschel presented to us last year. So we're looking to, and to some extent, we're looking at some local businesses, not regional, county businesses, to give you a sense of their perspective on how easy or hard it is to do business in New York State. It's more, the obstacles are more driven at the state level than the county level. Unless you have to go before a planning board.
The consent agenda consists of the minutes of the last meeting, the 2023 operations and accomplishments, and the 2023 loan committee discharge duties. Any member of the board wish to pull one or more of those things out and discuss it separately? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? By including the accomplishments of 2023 in the consent agenda, we in no way mean to minimize the content of that report. It's very impressive. Make sure if you haven't already read through it statistically, programmatically, and every other measure. 2023 was a very successful year for CEDC, and that's largely due to the outstanding staff we have and the input and the oversight that the board provides. Mike, shall we enter an executive session on your contract?
Please.
Motion to call an executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Lisa, the motion. Executive session was made by Tara and seconded by Rick. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it was passed unanimously. Thank you. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve a 6-month extension of the contract of our president and CEO to December 31st, 2025, and also to approve effective January 1st of 2024, the salary increase that was discussed in executive session.
I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. And I look forward to continuing to work with you and the great staff here at CEDC as we continue to take on more than we should, but, but we understand that, as long as we know it. Thank you.
At the top left of your agenda is the Choose Columbia logo, and it has been the logo and the brand of Columbia Economic Development Corporation for many years. And I'm interested in taking your temperature about that logo. And rather than spend time discussing it here at this board meeting, I'm going to send you a survey and ask for your comments about that logo. Is it good? Is it bad? Should we continue it? Should we do something different? And at the next meeting, I'll let you know what the survey results were, and we can discuss it at that time.
Excellent.
Okay. Sir?
I'm going to circulate on behalf of the governance committee the draft amendments to the bylaws so that you could review it in anticipation of discussing it at the next meeting and not have to have you print it out your copy or.
So read it right here, and then we'll vote on it. No. Yeah, so if you'll take some time between now and next month's.
The two main things are adding the workforce development, the director of the Workforce Investment Board as an ex officio member, and splitting the finance and audit committee into two because the state doesn't feel the audit committee, they feel the audit committee should be reviewing the finance committee, not having it as a single work structure.
Any members of the public tuning in who wish to be heard? Any further comments, discussion, comments, questions, criticisms, complaints from any member of the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for the governance committee will meet in this room in just a few minutes.
I'm going to the Javits Center on May 2nd.